Hi guys, today I'll be doing a critical analysis on Jane Eyre through the angle of gender discourse and class oppression. Charlotte Bronte's Jane Eyre brims with political radicalism as by creating a strong female lead who desires independence and equality. Bronte echoes a feminist consciousness in her work. In the time Charlotte Bronte lived in, English proletariat was fighting for democratic rights and advocating women's freedom, which mirrors in Jane, who shows better self-esteem than a character like Elizabeth from Pride and Prejudice. Although even in Elizabeth there is a spirit of Renaissance, as she refuses to marry just for the sake of securing her future. Elaine Showalter, in her essay Charlotte Bronte, Feminine Heroine, notes that Jane Eyre's resistance is even fiercer, as the feminine heroine grows up in a world without female solidarity, where women in fact police each other on behalf of patriarchal tyranny. BC and Miss Abbott lock Jane in the Red Room on orders of Mrs. Reed. At Lowdown, Miss Temple starves the girls because she has to answer for all she does. At Thornfield, Grace Poole is hired by Rochester's as Bertha's jailer. Helen Byrne gets flogged at Lowood School by Miss Stacher, and Jane herself too has been flogged on the neck in Mrs. Reed's bedroom. The violence propagated to whip girls into submission was a form of routine punishment in the Victorian society aimed at regulating their behavior as well as their sexuality. In this sense, Brocklehurst's attempt to tame the unruly flesh of the young girls is also an attempt to desexualize them. Continuing on, Simone de Beauvoir argues in her most famous work, The Second Sex, that men are able to mystify women. This mystification and stereotyping she proposes is instrumental in creating patriarchy. She argues that women, in turn, accept this stereotype and are thus instruments of their own suppression. Jane Eyre, however, resists this stereotype, as when she finds out about Bertha Mason being Rochester's wife, she leaves him immediately, even though she has no resource in her possession. She loves Rochester but does not compromise on her integrity. On the other hand, Bertha, the mad woman in the attic, represents the brutal aspects of Victorian wifehood. She embodies the horror of Victorian hegemonic masculinity towards women. In comparison, in Pride and Prejudice, beauty contests commodify the woman's body for the male gaze. Darcy is attracted to Elizabeth's fine eye, and Mrs. Bennet timely claims in regard to Jane that she could not be so beautiful for nothing. In contrast, Bronte reminds the reader of Jane's plain appearance. Bronte gives Jane Eyre a rough exterior deliberately, and in doing so she subverts stereotypical heroine's image, where her accomplishments are solely defined by her physicality. One thing that Bronte continuously reminds the readers is that Jane is ordinary looking. She is not pleasing to the eye. And this is somewhere where the term plain Jane also comes from, which we are all familiar of. So in this manner, Jane's refusal to let Rochester adorn her in jewels and silks is also her simultaneous rejection to conform to his abstract idea of Mrs. Edward Fairfax Rochester. The thing about Jane is that she is not confining herself to an image which is being constructed by any male counterpart, be it Rochester or be it St. John. She is continuously destabilizing patriarchal hegemony. Moreover, St. John's proposal of marriage to Jane is followed by several altercations between them in which gender roles are apparent. She rejects Saint John because she knows that he only prizes her as a soldier would a good weapon. This line is directly from the text. At one point, Jane even claims that if she were to marry Saint John, he would kill her. To which he replies by telling her that your words are such as ought not to be used, violent, unfeminine, and untrue. Words such as these demonstrate that there existed during the Victorian age strict guidelines in regards to what a woman was allowed to feel and the words that were proper for her to utter. At the same time, it also gives us the idea that to be feminine means to be the opposite of violence, that is, to be subdued. At the same time, even Rochester is a patriarchal gentleman of the Victorian society. Bertha Mason is the reflection of his hegemonic masculinity. Since the Victorian society was a time of harsh restraints on sexuality for all people, especially women, Rochester justifies Bertha's mistreatment as a result of her own moral madness, which seems from her sexual appetite. However, by reducing his masculine powers like wealth and his social rank at the end of the novel, when Bertha sets Thornfield on fire, Bronte reforms his toxic masculinity. Had Rochester not changed, Jane Eyre would have been the second Bertha. His amendability to change plays an important role in the construction of gender equality that Bronte sought for. Moreover, through the characters of Helen Burns and Bertha Mason that loom at opposite ends, Bronte represents Victorian stereotypes of womanhood. This binary of self-denying angel in the house and the devil woman of unbridled animal passion. For Showalter is an aspect of Jane's personality which she must overcome in order to become her own mistress, a new kind of feminine heroine. The next major theme of Jane Eyre is class oppression. Quote, "Do you think because I am poor, obscure, plain and little, I am soulless and heartless?" End quote. This line is again directly from the book, and it emphasizes that Bronte presented a powerful defense of all working class people during a time when they were seen as automatons. At Lowood, Jane experiences the abusive and depraved world of the English charitable system of the 19th century. The girls are starved, abused, subjective to religious extremism. Mr. Brocklehurst insists on starving the girls because he supposedly believes that by starving their wretched bodies, he is feeding their eternal souls, in exposing the harsh reality of charitable institutions like Lowood, where girls died of typhoid fever, including her dear friend Helen. Jane projects the plight of poor children. Even at Thornfield Hall, Jane experiences the cruelty of the class system. Rochester's upper-class friends utter insulting words to her. Lady Ingram is particularly vehement in her insults, stating that in Jane's physiognomy she sees all the faults of a class. Therefore, Bronte's novel reflects the plight of the working class struggling against elite oppression. Rejection for Jane Eyre is something that occurs from above as well as below. She is a heroine different from other heroines. She is different from a character like Elizabeth from Pride and Prejudice because number one, she is not beautiful. Number two, she is not giving into gender discourse. Number three, she paves a path for herself. In this sense, she burns with a robust sense of individualism as well as feminism, which is unique to her. If you like this video, make sure to subscribe to my channel, and I'll keep you updated on more upcoming videos. Thank you.